Hello and welcome to this new episode of TDO. In the late 1970s, or was it the early 80s? Tell you what, check out my previous video. It's a Hakanori video, which is my take on Jackanory, and it's a story video that I'll do before a device that I used to own in my youth. But in this video we're going to refurbish one, and that is the first console I think I ever used, and it's actually this one. It's a VideoMaster SuperScore, and unfortunately it doesn't work anymore. It used to be the family's, and at some point I've taken possession of it, and as possession is 9/10 of the law, this one's mine now. But it doesn't work, so we're going to have a go at trying to get it to work again. It also comes with a small rotary controller. That's also a bit broken, and that's an extension for one of the players, so they don't both have to fight over the console. And it also comes with a light gun, and this gun unfortunately doesn't work with any modern TVs, so no LEDs, LCDs, plasma even. It needs a CRT display. Thankfully I've got one of those, so I'll dig that out and we can test that as well. No boxes, no instructions, that's it. So what does a geek who wants to put it on display do when they haven't got any of that? They go on a well-known auction site and buy another. And this one, it's in pretty good condition. The box is a bit beat up in places, so maybe we can have a look at how we can repair the box as well. This one somebody bought for the princely sum of £9.95 from a place called Discount for Beauty. But a strange thing to buy from a place called that, but we'll have a look at that as well. So we'll do an unboxing and see if it works, and see how it compares to the one I've got there. But before we do that, let's just take a look at the history of this device. In 1966, while working for defence contractor Sanders Associates, the late great Ralph Baer received funding of $2,500 to develop an idea he'd pondered since 1951, to create a game using a television screen. By 1969, with the assistance of two other engineers, Bill Harrison and Bill Roosh, Baer had developed the brown box console, so named because of its brown wood veneer effect covering. Then in 1971, Magnavox licensed this technology and released it in May of 1972 as the Magnavox Odyssey. Only able to render player and ball squares, keeping track of the scores was left to the players, and any field lines were added via overlay stuck to the screen with tape. It is claimed that on seeing the Odyssey's table tennis game, Nolan Bushnell, co-founder of Atari, thought Atari could create a better version. He hired engineer Alan Alcorn and gave him a secret motivational test project to warm him up for future Atari projects. The Pong arcade game born of that work was released in late November of 1972. After the success of Pong, Magnavox sued Atari, with Bushnell deciding to settle out of court. Up until 1976, Pong and other clones were designed and manufactured using many discrete electronic components. Then in 1976, General Instrument released the AY3-8500 integrated circuit. This was their recreation of the Pong-style game and officially licensed by Magnavox and Sanders Associates. It was essentially a low-cost Pong on a chip, to be used as the heart of the game's console, with only a power source, RF modulator and some basic electronic components needed to make it usable. With it, General Instruments supplied schematics and reference designs for creating a working console. The chip offered 6 selectable games for 1 or 2 players. A rarely implemented 7th game called Handicap could be played when none of the other 6 games were selected. It is a soccer variant, with right-hand player having 3 paddles to the left player's 2. Due to the way each video display element, such as field, left and right player, was output separately, an additional IC could be used to colorise the components. Alternatively, simple resistors could be used to make them appear as different shades of grey. With over 200 different consoles known to have been created using it, the first company to bring a console to market was Coleco in 1976. Coleco got a head start on the competition when in 1975 Ralph Baer learned of General Instruments' secret project to produce a Pong on a chip, and tipped Coleco off about it. The result was the Telstar, Coleco's first entry to the TV games market, which exposed 3 of the chip's 6 games. Hot on its heels though in 1976 was the SuperScore from the VideoMaster arm of Waddingtons in the UK. However, this wasn't VideoMaster's first console, as they had been making games using multiple CMOS ICs since 1974. Over its lifetime, the Superscore was made available both separately and in one of two packs. The Superscore Plus pack combined the Superscore unit, separate remote control, and the Superscore pistol. The Compendium pack was similar, but included an AC adapter, and the packaging was also a convenient carry case. Uniquely though, the Superscore was also made available in kit form, with adverts for the kit being placed in publications such as Electronics Today. The kit was available for £24.95, a saving of over £15 on the recommended retail price of the ready-built version. The £15 saving came with either the satisfaction of a working console or the depression of wasting £24.95 on a smouldering wreck, depending on your soldering skills. The Superscore unit can play all 6 official games of the AY3-8500. The 2 light pistol games are playable only with the optional pistol plugged in. It implements the display output, with Player 2 being a darker shade to Player 1. There have been 2 designs of the pistol made available. My guess is that the more realistic was the first, likely replaced with the more futuristic looking pistol due to cost, aesthetics, or possibly even because it looked too realistic. Saying that, either are more realistic than the taped up NES Zapper used in 2018 by a man in Mexico to rob a bank. Videomaster also rebadged the Superscore as the Princetronic Tournament for Dixons Limited for their UK high street stores. It had a unique difference though. The switch used for turning the sound on and off on the Superscore instead switched between 2 bounce angles. This was a feature of the AY3-8500 that the Videomaster had opted not to implement on their own Superscore. The same circuit board is used for both versions though, with the function of the switch being decided by whether the A or B link was cut. Although the Princetronic tournament included the 2 pistol games, no pistol was made available under the Princetronic name. Instead, the manual humorously stated that they could not be used unless you find them soothing as they flicker to and fro. It was also imported to Portugal and sold as the TV Brinker, in the same configuration as the normal Superscore. I'll start this refurb by removing the batteries. Removing the first is quite an art, requiring something to push the other 5 aside to make enough room to free the first. Videomaster didn't want these to fall out accidentally. Then 5 crosshead screws are all that stand in my way. Ah, 70s electronics. No fiddly surface mount technologies in here. From left to right we have the power and remote sockets, right player control, speaker, RF modulator, 2 MHz timing circuit. The dash rectangles along the top are where the selection switches are located on the other side, the holes providing the notches for each of the switch positions. The AY3-8500, or in this case the follow-up pin-compatible AY3-8550. Below that the pistol and controller components, then the resistors to combine the display elements, the left player control, and the light pistol edge connector. The chip has come out of its socket partially, so hopefully an easy fix there. But that capacitor doesn't look great in the foreground. Let's take a closer look. Crusty. I'll remove the chip first. The socket doesn't have a plastic holder like today's sockets though. A quick tweak of the lugs. A straightening of the chip's legs. And it can be carefully placed back into its socket. And pushed fully home. And let's replace that capacitor too. I merrily start desoldering, until a face full of flux fumes reminds me that I've already made a fume extractor. Give your lungs a treat and check out the video of how it was made. Ah, much better. I still use an old desolder pump and dream about the day I'll own a dedicated desoldering gun. Any solder remains are whipped away. I don't have any axial capacitors, so I'll use ordinary ones and get them to do the splits. Watch that smoke go! The extractor was doing a great job. I replaced the other capacitor of the same type, and then decided to replace the two larger capacitors. No point waiting for them to leak too. I used the same method as before, but later realised that there was an extra hole, meaning that I could have put them in normally. I clean the switch pads, the edge connector and the battery contacts with 99% isopropyl alcohol. I thought it best to clean the switches too. Time to reassemble. The RF cable has no restraint relief and needs careful routing not to obstruct the screw post. A quick check of the switches, add some batteries, and it's time to see whether it works. Success! But oh, look at that fuzzy picture, and that horrible bleeding. I delid the RF modulator, looking for something to adjust. Nothing easily adjustable in here. And then I made my first mistake, when I decided to try adjusting this inductor. And broke it. Oh dear, what have I done? Can I fix this? Will I convert it to composite video? Will I remember to get the light pistol working? And what about the other VideoMaster Superscore? Does anybody care? Well, yes, I do. Find out in part 2.
We don't need to see his identification. Follow me. Move on. Move on.